Vice President Kamala Harris addressed illegal immigration while in Guatemala Monday during her first foreign trip. The vice president is tasked with addressing the surge of migrants attempting to enter the U.S. illegally at the southern border. During a news conference with Guatemala's president, she said the Biden administration was working to address the root causes of migration and delivered a stark warning to would-be migrants. CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe has the latest from Guatemala City.
Vice President Harris used her first appearance on the world stage to deliver a blunt message to migrants seeking to enter the U.S. illegally.
Do not come. Do not come. If you come to our border, you will be turned back.
Traveling in Guatemala today, Harris, tasked by President Biden with managing the border crisis, announced a series of initiatives designed to turn the tide here.
We are working on a task force that is about human smuggling.
The administration has committed more than $300 million to Central America so far, part of a 4-year, $4 billion relief plan designed to help alleviate the poverty and crime that drives many people to make the more than 2,000-mile trek to the U.S. But the White House knows more funding will do little good if it also doesn't root out corruption in the region. Harris isn't shying away from the issue. Do you consider the governments of El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico, or any other in this region to be corrupt?
The conversation that I had with President Yamate today was very frank and very candid.
But Guatemala's President Alejandro Yamate bristled when asked by CBS if he's part of the problem.
How many cases of corruption have I been accused?
Zero.
The vice president's trip to the region is high stakes, not only for an administration facing intense criticism of border security, but also for her future political ambitions and her place in history as the first female vice president traveling abroad.
I welcome showing anyone, whatever your race or gender, that you may be the first to do anything, make sure you're not the last.
And Ed O'Keefe joins me now from Guatemala City. So, Ed, we heard the vice president deliver a direct message to migrants who plan to enter the U.S. illegally. How is she using this trip to address the root causes of migration?
Well, this afternoon, Elaine, here in Guatemala City, she spent some time with civil society leaders, business leaders, predominantly women, trying to reach people from across this country who came here to the capital city to meet with her as she tries to get a better sense of what exactly is causing so many people to leave not only Guatemala, but El Salvador, Honduras, Mexico, and even as far east as Venezuela in some cases, as people flee the political strife there. This is all part of an ongoing mission. This isn't the end point by any means, the administration points out. They say she'll be making several visits to the region now over the next several months, probably the next several years, to continue talking with leaders about what can be done to stem the flow. That call, do not come, however, was a pretty bold one. In essence, kind of a red line that says, you know, our borders are sealed, you will be turned around. Measure that in 6 months or a year, 18 months, and if people are still coming in record numbers, what does that say about the Biden administration's immigration policy? That's what I asked her today. She avoided answering the question directly, seeming to acknowledge that, look, we're going to try to do some things a little differently. We're going to be a little more aggressive in prosecuting transnational crime, promoting legal immigration from Central America, all in hopes, the Biden administration feels at least, that it might work and stop the flow.
Well, Ed, as we heard in your piece, addressing corruption in Central American countries is also something the Biden administration is focusing on. You asked the vice president about that. What did she and Guatemala's president have to say?
She said she had pretty frank conversations with him about it. This is something that she's been focused on for the last several weeks, and it's now part of a whole-of-government approach. The Biden administration making corruption around the world of all sorts a priority for national security, whether it's at the government level, in business, or other sectors. The Guatemalan president, Mr. Yamate, said to me the other day when we talked to him that, you know, this isn't just a government thing. It isn't just a political issue. There are business leaders, nonprofit leaders who make large amounts of money for the work that they do, and there's very little accountability for them. One of the more interesting moments of this exchange today signaled sort of how these two are talking past each other. One of my colleagues who tracks this stuff, especially in the Spanish press, pointed out that she said that the United States, by way of the Justice and State Departments, was going to be working with prosecutors in this country and in other countries to promote the rule of law and accountability. The president turned around later and said, look, those issues are for the Attorney General to deal with, independent from me. in essence saying there's no corruption, but if you want to talk about those issues, go talk to that sector of our government. Well, that's the sector that's most under the gun here, been facing pressure from him, from the National Congress, questions raised about their political motivations. Same thing's going on next door in El Salvador, with the President Bukele has been using his party to, in essence, neuter the judicial sector to some extent. Those leaders turn around and say, look, that's because these people have ideological motives, but in reality, any country, any democracy or country that calls itself a democracy that goes after an independent judiciary is one that's going to draw great pause and concern from the United States.
Yeah, really interesting to hear about those dynamics. Vice President Harris is heading to Mexico Monday evening. What can we expect from her trip there?
Yeah, this will be an interesting pickup on the ongoing tour, Elaine. She'll be meeting with Andrés Manuel López Obrador, or AMLO as he's known, in Mexico and across Latin America, a leader who has not left his country since taking office 3 years ago, and whose party just suffered a bit of a setback in its midterm elections on Sunday. They're still in charge of the National Congress, but he lost a few seats, so he's facing some of the, blowback from that just 48 hours later by meeting with her tomorrow. They're expected to talk especially about U.S.-Mexico border security concerns, economic development, but AMLO can be a bit of a loose cannon when it comes to relations with the United States. He's been known to say some things that, might ruffle diplomatic feathers, so it should be interesting to see how those meetings go tomorrow, and notable that the two of them are not doing what the Vice President did with President Yamate here in Guatemala today. She's not holding a news conference with him, in part because American officials, it seems, may be a little concerned about what he might do or say in an exchange with her there. And, we talked about this in our report. It bears repeating. She is the first woman to serve as Vice President, now traveling through a region that hasn't had many women in senior government positions of leadership before. So the example or just the symbolism of her doing this will be interesting to track sort of how it was received by regular everyday people across the region who will see her in action.
Yeah, I mean, it's just fascinating, I think, Ed, to watch her on the international stage in this way. It's something that we just haven't seen from her, given her record. Obviously, she was a prosecutor, and she brings to this position a much different background than Joe Biden did, obviously, when he was vice president and traveling and engaging. Meantime, President Biden himself is going to be making his first international trip later this week with stops in the UK, Belgium, and Switzerland. Ed, what are some of the goals of his trip?
Well, I think this entire week, whether it's the vice president here in Latin America or the president off to Europe later in the week and next week, it's essentially foreign policy time for the Biden administration as it hits the 5.5-month mark. And as officials put it to us here in Guatemala, it's all part of a push to reassert American leadership and influence around the world and show world leaders and allies that the United States is back and ready and willing and eager to engage on a host of issues, whether it's the immigration flow here and economic development in the Western Hemisphere, whether it's concern about cyber attacks and Russian meddling that will inevitably get discussed in Geneva next week when the president meets with Vladimir Putin, and a host of issues that have to get dealt with by the G7 when they meet in Cornwall in the United Kingdom over the weekend. And, not for nothing, the president meeting Queen Elizabeth II with the First Lady on Sunday, notable in part because it'll be one of her first public engagements since her husband died.
Yeah, there is a lot packed into that schedule. I can't wait to see what that meeting with President Putin is going to be like. All eyes on what it is that the president, the Russian president, will say and what Joe Biden will say when they appear before reporters. Ed O'Keefe for us in Guatemala City. Ed, thank you so much.
Take care.